Although, all that being said, Vamana and his dash able to get rooted. So you might find some real value off this pick, especially the setup going for this E-Shell, prioritizing, giving something to Paul to be able to cast. I'm interested to see how this actually goes. This has been the test to see if these teams actually are able to stand up to an ADC double frontline. Paul definitely doing his level best to see if that actually stands. And with the gem buff like Paul's building right now, there's ever a time to test it and show that hand, it's definitely now. But for all the competitive jousters that are out there, this ADC double frontline has been been a big portion of the meta as of late. Is it that shift? Is Gem enough to push that over the edge, or an E-Shell getting a prio mage pick? We've seen Dev do it on a Thoth. Obviously, we've seen Paul try to pilot that on the Tia. Now, what does that look like on an E-Shell going into this set? Let's take a quick peek at his leveling all three. Double axe. I'm assuming this could be a Berserkers or Phalanx. Phalanx did get nerfed a little bit on the number of protections it does provide, so I'm interested to see if we make any adjustments based off the most recent patch for Smite 1. Decent root. I think the big point too, when you start talking about a mage versus an ADC, is that wave clear / AoE damage pressure for this map. It provides them a fair amount of map pressure leading into these neutral buffs, easily shown there. Securing blue buff for the Celtic Banshees. Looking at relics, that is a Blink Vamana. I love the shell picked up here. I'm wondering, I would like to see this Thebes into a Phantom Shell right away to give his team that versatility. Especially the Cabrakan is going to look to get activists real early with that alt sectioning off this E-Shell Erlong Shen, because they won't have the ability to get through or around that without some help. But a big engage in the burst we just talked about. First blood immediately going to the Celtic Banshees on this Cabrakan. Then knock up the Bacchus flop right into this E-Shell setup, making sure she can hit all abilities like Paul needs it. Regardless, a big amount of damage turned out. That is first blood and is placed on the Erlong Shen. The damage she's putting out. Red spawning. You got to be careful. Cabrakan just hits level 5. Cabrakan doesn't have Blink. He is horrific, but his team not healthy enough to step up into red. Giving it up without contesting. E-Shell waiting blue out to make sure she secures red. That's going to be pretty notable, especially going into first items. That could turn into a nice second pick. That's going to be red. Get her a nice back for first item. I'm hoping she has first item. She didn't have first blood. Maybe she doesn't have enough because T2. It is just T2. I guess what I find interesting here is Aegis for the E-Shell versus a Beads, a Heavenly, something else as far as utility to give her some survivability. Because when I think of this draft, I don't see a ton of pressure or burst damage, excuse me, outside of just getting to late game. Blue was secured by Charybdis Crushers. It is on the Cabrakan. That was an attempt at an invade. A little bit of a lead accruing with this first blood. And both neutral buffs. Purple spawning now. Flop connects the Cabrakan. E-Shell not willing to really step in here. Got to be a little careful. Cabrakan ults. E-Shell locks them down with that cripple field and alt. Do they have the damage to kill? E-Shell being zoned by this Vamana. Bacchus forced to flop out. Do they have it? Vamana has Blink, so he's going to be looking for this wrap. I don't think he's willing to dive tower for it, though. A little surprised, obviously not with enough damage. The Griffin Wing Cowl just not having enough damage to secure the kill onto the Bacchus. Well, that's interesting. She's leveling her too. Interesting. Okay. I would have thought to elect to level the 1 instead. Erlong alts. Braken's left alone. Erlong Shen tries to reclaps back in. Should result in a death for the Bacchus, and does. Erlong just an auto through Braken ult. Now getting caught. 3-member strong. E-Shell ults through. The healing's there. Vamana's tanking tower, though. Doesn't need any help with the damage from this E-Shell and the healing. Able to turn a kill on to the Ishtar. Chinfu on the Vamana did just ult the E-Shell under tower, but it was me in the middle of the E-Shell ult, so kind of ineffective as far as the healing, and he was taking towers, so didn't find the value that we would have wanted to see. It's just a little unfortunate. You get a little baited by E-Shell with this healing damage from that ult with the 6 seconds hitting a team member and the enemy team. Back up. Reminded the animation was finishing out, but Vamana did ult. It's a good Ishtar ult, looking for that cripple field to make sure the Bacchus can't jump out. The Bacchus got to be conscious. The Ishtar ultimate being a cripple field, him not being able to jump, he steps out of position. He's going to get punished pretty roughly. If he's jumping in, he's going to be Braken ulted for this Ishtar just to whittle down. So a little out of position and getting punished for it. So, Celtic Banshees forced to just remain passive, waiting for the 3rd member of their team, clearing waves. Is it weird to say I'm not actually against this, considering you're getting this Erlong Shen E-Shell to, like, they're level 11 versus the Bacchus is level 8. He's died twice, but he's giving the farm over this duo farm instead of a trio farm. Just E-Shell, Erlong, getting them second relics, getting them earlier spikes. I don't think it's obviously done on purpose, but providing a lot of that farm to this E-Shell is definitely working in your favor. The Braken ults, Erlong was trapped in there. E-Shell getting zoned a little bit. The burst damage, that is one combo from this E-Shell, able to do that much. Bacchus, the sole target by all members of Charybdis Crushers. Just not enough damage. So kind of the problem when you start looking at this, get a ton of early damage. We have some lifesteal. We need to get some XE, Dom, some kind of pen online to really shred these double frontliners. Not to mention the healing. When you look at this, I don't have any. We have anti-heal on Horrific, and I'm hoping it's a Pesty. It's the only anti-heal for the team is on this Braken. I would like to note again, Phalanx getting nerfed in last patch. Obviously not killing the item, but Phalanx before Berserkers. Not inherently the play. But looking for that value regardless. There's the E-Shell ult. They're long ulted across. Do they have enough damage with these two? Didn't seem as impactful, but gaining them the pressure regardless. 2 ults dropped. They do secure Johnson in turn, though. This is 2 neutral wards here for the Celtic Banshees. Preparation if they do get a pick. We start talking about a mage draft. Yes, they have an auto attacker on this Erlang Shen, but until he drops an X or Kins, they can't really pull Bull comfortably, especially considering this Vamana has Blink Engage or Cabrakan ult, right? I need to see this Phantom Shell like ASAP, especially for this Cabrakan giving himself some survivability, but also this Erlang E-Shell being able to step up and play a little bit more aggressive. Ishtar drops ult. Gets that cripple field off. Bacchus is that target getting poked down a little bit. Bacchus ults. Erlang doesn't have ult quite yet. Trying to work down this Cabrakan. Do they have enough damage? Yishao kind of watching both fights go at the same time. Yishao getting zoned by the Vamana. Do we have enough damage by this? Erlang dashes in. Able to secure the kill. Now under tower. Vamana forced to ult, which the healing and damage from this E-Shell. Does it actually kill? It does. It is still going, looking for a full deicide. A deicide here. Celtic Banshees wiping the Charybdis Crushers off the map. That E-Shell ult is insane. I was just wondering when it was going to end. Purple secured along, working, whittling down this tower. That's a big spike here. T1, neutral farm off the map. Do they immediately go bull all 3? 2 members still down, just spawning now. Cabrakan doesn't have Blink, has a Heavenly. We don't have Phantom Shell if they are able to actually get here in time. The spike here, semi-even and immediately jolted up off of one fight. Full deicide. Purple buff. Bull. This is a dream spike for the Celtic Banshees. Erlang getting a full Kins on this back. We don't yet have these spikes. Ishtar and Vamana both trying to get a finished item. I'm assuming that's going to be an Exekins or Exekins. Ishtar gets the back off. It's an Erlang ult, but do they have the damage? Ishtar actually ults. I'm assuming that doesn't kill though. Good Cabrakan ult to try to zone them off the Vamana. I think the Vamana is out, but regardless, creating some separation to make sure there is no question in that. So the end of the day, a 2-for-1 ultimate, trying to gain some bird pressure. Vamana does that blink, but does he actually get the chance to close gap? Bacchus gets a nice burp stun on the Vamana, keeping him in place. Cabrakan doesn't have ult now. Ishtar ult hits all 3. Erlang getting stunned out by the Cabrakan, trying to gain some pressure to get them off this bird to keep it alive, but do they? Vamana bashing this Bacchus' head in. Bacchus gets caught, able to secure the kill, but as it returned, it is Paul and Freya doing absurd numbers. The Ishtar is getting caught on pathing, birds up, and Isha ult is as well. The damage. I am 100% curious what that timer is actually at 60 seconds. Woo! Okay. Okay. Oh, that makes me cry a little bit inside. Alright. She has 30% CDR, and looking at that kind of a cooldown for an ultimate. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Johnson trying to be secured by this Bracken. This is kind of that dream situation. You start talking about a mage draft. You have to look for this pressure. This is a 14-minute game. Just getting 3 items for this ADC. You're not going to do enough. The healing and damage is just too much. All ults are up. Erlong gets a blink all 3 and triple knock up by this E-Shell. Vamana just tries to zone the E-Shell, not able to actually close gap because he doesn't have a hasten. E-Shell just walks away. It's one of those questions. They have enough damage to kill. They do. Surely they do. Immediately turned on now. Just Erlong is chunking and able to get yet another deicide. The target selection just a little split. The Bracken was getting full set. Vamana went for the E-Shell. Ishtar went for the Erlong. The target selection, the damage, more than enough. Celtic Banshees securing game number 1 of the set. Maybe? Maybe mages are back? Question mark? I doubt it. But, you know, I think it's just Paul. It's Paul and the character. A demanding performance by 2 members, or all 3 members for that matter, of the Celtic Banshees. Interlong, Bacchus, and obviously in Lefay alt. I'm not sure I'm thrilled by that as far as the draft, but also the bigger portion is you're talking about a double frontline. I talk about this often with comp players is when you do a double frontline, you have to have kill ability to kill the enemy DPS and turn it into a 2v2. When you look at 2v2s, do you feel confident that that's actually going to win? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Two points in the 2.
I have the finest weapons and armor. What can
I love this start. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if that was intended. Okay. I do love this start where you start looking at gem into Chronos Pendant. I've never been a big fan of Chronos Pendant, but giving that 20% cooldown, get some decent power, and then throw a pen item on second slot. On her getting poked out substantially going into purple. Ooh, okay. Hercules gets a good pull on the Lefay, forces beads right away. You're taking that trade. Obviously, you might lose purple, but you got a big relic from the mage. That is a big flop onto 2. Does he actually save, though? He doesn't. Able to get first blood due to picking those beads. The Herc actually getting a lot more value right away than I definitely gave that credit. Erlong pushing a full wave, forced to tank this down, and actually should go down. The Impale not connecting. Still content, and should be first blood and purple buff down. Beads are still down for 120. You have plenty of pressure leading into red buff, and your next engage with first item spikes. Obviously, all that lead being first blood here. XP different, but gold. Johnson spawning, red's up. Herc doesn't have Relic, obviously going horrific first. LaFay trying to go for an all-in on this Hercules. Or a long alt, gets stunned out by the Fafnir leap. Really good peel by the Faf. So Johnson secured by the Celtic Banshees and a red for the Charybdis Crushers. Obviously, a trade you're willing to take. If you're on the Charybdis Crushers, you're getting that neutral farm. You have first bloods, both neutrals and first. Gotta be happy with that. Both teams going blue buffs. I'm assuming that's gonna be wave back here. Take another peek at the rest of the leveling. So first item spikes all coming online. A double Thebes here for Charybdis Crushers. Not quite a Thebes for this Bacchus though. So however small, a little bit of disadvantage here for the Banshees. So Johnson is what the target's over. A decent impale by this on her to make sure his team's able to secure it. So red buff. Actually down, but a nice ultimate, double ultimate across. Forces the on her to jump defensively. Bacchus is the target. Should go down. No way he's actually able to survive. Good pin, but the Hercules boulder is more than enough. Chinfu getting that kill on the Hercules. Thought maybe the Bacchus would have made it out, but a good boulder. There's ever a moment to throw a massive rock at the enemy, that was definitely it. Red being pulled by the Celtic Banshees. Charybdis Crusher is comfortable with just going, picking up purple and going buff for buff. Honestly, considering if I'm Banshees, I'm happy with that. Yes, you should be. Mainly just because you are a man down and you're getting a buff for buff. Definitely nothing to scoff at. Good stun by the Bacchus, allowing some separation, but getting pushed back in. A push impale under tower. And yet another death. Fortunately for this Bacchus. After Hercules looking to create some separation. Does the Hercules have enough? On her on tower. This should result in T1 fairly easily. Bacchus getting hammered out. Should now 100% equal that. Should be T1 Johnson. If you are the Charybdis Crushers, you are happy with that. What's my condition here? So you have a good lead, right? We're Charybdis Crushers. In 1900 gold, you have the start you're looking for. You have to see. I have to see third item. I don't want to pull bull here because you don't have gauntlet. You don't have any real pen for these double tanks, and Erlong Shan has berserkers going into a second fizz. You need to play for this spike and feel confident that once you hit that, then we can look for that bull, but not really pre that. Because the honor doesn't have that damage behind him quite yet. This Hercules is doing really well. Obviously, it's just a Hercules, a raid boss. There's not a ton of lockdown. There's some self-peel by the LaFay, but creating a ton of separation for his team. So let him facilitate that. Let them get these builds online, especially with the ADC comp. No need to really... Don't really need to force their hand. Otherwise, on the other side of that, if I'm this Erlong LaFay, it's just Paul, right? This is built different. Win condition is just to play this slowly. When I'm thinking about these team fights, how they're split, I would like to see a possible reclap backwards to really help this LaFay. This Hercules is doing really well zoning it. The red is secured, or stolen, excuse me, by the Celtic Banshees. A nice pull push, but a pull push right into the leveling arms of a triple Erlong Shen all. Does he have the damage to put through that, though? Be careful, cooldowns are coming up for this Hercules. That's one of those moments you start talking about like a Sobek pluck or a Hercules push-pull. It has to be on the right targets because you're pulling an ult like that. You gave the Erlong Shen an opportunity for a triple ultimate into a LaFay cast. It's one of those awkward moments. Displacement is good, but into what? Can't really say that, though, about a Hercules when he's done so much to create some separation for this on her. LaFay is level 12. This should be the second relic we've been waiting on. That's Gauntlet. That is Gauntlet. Getting that stacked. I'm assuming it's going to be straight into an Xe for this on her. Obviously synergizing well with his passive. I am interested in keeping my eyes on second relics for these tanks. And the next item for this LaFay. Does she have to go cooldown? Does she have to go percent pen? What is she actually going to put in that slot? Obviously needing that anti-heal with the Divine. This Hercules on her. But what does that look like following? On her content with just farming up. She should. I want to see him get Xe before he really looks to take that fight. I look for a bull. Plenty of ward pressure here. Playing it slow. This isn't a moment where he's level 13. I want to take a quick peek at a leveling order, but oops, network. Interesting. Honor's still the most valuable, obviously because his team has majority of the lead and most of it sits with him, but there's hovering red here. This Faf just trying to be as annoying as possible. Herc doesn't have the chance to wrap. Herc hasn't. They haven't had the chance to get to back off and get these second relics. That's a decent dash. Forces LaFay all. Hercules just autoing her down. I'm kind of flicking back and forth to see how that 1v1 in the background is going with this Erlong Shen. The Faf reclapses backward. This is that moment. This Hercules creates so much separation for his team. The boulder's off the mark. Surely not. No. No. It's gone from bad to worse. No. Oh, no. Erlong able to survive. Boulder doesn't connect. The Impale just out of range, and the Erlong walks free. Bacchus goes down. The wave gets full cleared, so it shouldn't result in bull or bird, excuse me. You have a 20-second power play. Are they even able to path to bull to start looking at that? That might have just completely washed that fight. All the work that Hercules did on the LaFay might just completely nullify it there. There's the pull. Bacchus is up. Pull secured. Hercules. I mean, I didn't give the Hercules credit on P's and B's, but the separation he is creating, he is doing a ton for this Charybdis Crusher's team, facilitating that ADC, making sure he's feeling comfortable enough. Once those builds are online, the Honor's able to put in some work here. long as wrapping. There's the blink. Connects the on her. The Fae casts, and they are all inning this on her. There is nothing he can do. There's no separation. The boulder bought as much time as he can with relics, but that's those moments your ADC goes down. What do you really do? You have kill potential outside of that. So the Fae just needs to kite and get as much cast off as she can, and it's Paul, so what would you expect? Drops the 3 for the mobility. Herc trying to wrap. Faf now the target. Herc doesn't have blink here. The dash used. The damage, hold on. Was he, wait, was Paul in alt circle when... I have to watch that back. I'm sorry. I have to know that. You don't have Aegis. The minions. Hammer. Oh, wave. Okay. It's a minion wave. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate if you're Paul. Him being alive, getting a nice back off. You had some timers, but a 2-for-1 trade is still in favor of the Celtic Banshees, so definitely not upset by that by any stretch of the imagination. Red is secured. On her is here. Horrific is used. Do you use beads? Do you backstep? What are we doing here? Do we get this kill? Do we get the pick? Bull is still up, but for what time? I don't know why that looks actually like Bull's actually there, but it's not. Red just wearing off. So both relics down here for this Lefay. You have a window to really punish this. But a relic graveyard technically for both teams here. I'm assuming there's going to be a Kins for this on her to deal with this double front line, the tankiness that's coming through. You still have this lead. You still have that piece of it where it's just going to come down to a little bit of setup for this on her to really start chunking. That Kins, that spike, I don't want to say it mean everything, but it's going to kind of mean everything. Bacchus flops in. He's alone? No. I'm not able to really punish that. I feel like I want to see a little bit more damage. A good pull. On her's chunking down this Bacchus. Stun's there. Just goes down. This is that moment. You have a big pick. The Heavenly's used. Do they get this connecting? Beads by Erlong. Dashes down. Do they have the damage to turn? The Fae ulting through. This is 2 members down. This is that moment we've been wanting. You have the chance to take this home. And can they? But Paul showing why he's known as the GOAT. Surely there, but to secure it, he's able to survive. No! I wanna watch that back and just analyze, was there something missed? How does he survive? Able to get out and get a pick is absolutely absurd. Absurd! Oink, appreciate the follow. Welcome, welcome. On her's on purple. You got to be careful. We can't stagger death timers. If they get a person picked here, it's going to go in the opposite direction. These fights are just so split. Oh, hold on. Lefay's wrapping. No relics on her. On her has both. Celtic Banshees have ward pressure. The sentries, one on Bull, one at defensive choke point. Just take a quick peek. This is the Kins. This is that point in the build. You have the ability to now shred those tanks down. But at the same time, you look the opposite direction. You have a Kin's Xe for this Erlong. He can do it right back to you for these tanks in that 2v2. So this goes back to that immediate conversation we had before. If they're able to pick this on her, if I heavily favor this 2v2 for the Celtic Banshees, they just have to prioritize putting him down. The Hercules trying to find this Lefay and zone him. Reclaps backwards. Forces the Lefay alt. Erlong alt as well. 3 alts for 1. You're gonna take that if I'm Charybdis Crushers. There's no reason to really force hand here. Faf's in alt. Pinged out. Erlong's pulling. We did back, but wasn't on vision. Lefay casting on that Fafnir. They're backing up because the Fafnir's here. He's going to de-transform shortly. Celtic Banshees. I can't say Celtic Banshees. On her pulled bull. Apologize for the mispronunciation. Celtic Banshees. Better? Celtic Banshees? I'm going to Google that later. It's fine. Can't even speak my own language. Just going to Genjis. Your friends on the team? Yeah, it's fair. My fault. My fault. Celtic Banshees. I know him like that. It's fair enough. Red spawning. I'm keeping an eye now when you start looking at hitting level 20, those starters. A big back here, possibly for Lefay. Hits this level 20. This starter with Obshard Soul Reaver is going to chunk. Especially with how he's been playing this game, short of dying to a minion. Regardless, you can't really help that. Him surviving these fights, getting as much damage as he has off, just absolutely absurd for the Celtic Banshees. Just for you. Fafnir just pathing in. Erlong looking for this blink again. You got to be careful. If he's able to get that blink off, Lefay has been casting off of it. Here he comes. There's the blink. It's a fair amount of cast. On her just goes down. There's that int we talked about. The on her goes down. Are they healthy enough to even kill it after? A ton of self-peel by this Lefay. It's going to turn into a 2v3. That was a very impactful setup. Erlong ult into Bacchus flop and a Bacchus ult. More than enough damage. The Hercules, a good blink. Is it enough damage? The bull, they're not able to catch. Because of that extension, another member goes down. 50 seconds on the Faf. Just over 20. A nice double push, but is it the damage there to actually go down? Hercules now forced to back. Paul is like 1 HP. This should result easily in T1, though. You have the Erlong with Kins and Xe. On her just spawning. They're going to be forced to back up, so that shouldn't result in Bird. Just a nice T1 here for the Celtic Banshees. One day I'm going to say Celtic again. It's going to be great. Let's watch this Hercules maybe style. Does he have blink? Doesn't have blink. The back's going to get off. It's a little unfortunate. Well, in other news... Okay. Fresh needs to pre-beads that. I mean, to be fair, you just get, like, that's just the composition, right? Like, the ADC dies, like, you know that they have to all in. They kind of have to int for that ADC when you start playing these mage picks, unless you have the range to continually poke them out. And with the Fae, you don't really have that, so the recognition of what that's going to look like. To be fair, this should be, I'm going to say basically even. You're starting to hit level 20s, or most of that XP is going to be null and void. What does that look in itemization and gold? And the gold translating to items. Erlong can now path over to this bowl. Herc having back. He can pull this. Plenty of damage. How's that? How does this post fight? I'm not really as concerned as to who gets Bull as much as how does the fight look after. Not comfortable enough to stick Bull in front. Instead, a Erlong blink all on her. Forced to beach up away. Aegis directly after. So that's both relics off of this on her. Faf alts. Can we actually contact? Herc blinks away. I would have liked beyond her Aegis the pin. He thought that it was going to be an all-in from the Erlong Lefay chase here, so he Aegis the pin here. Results in a bull pull and easily uncontested here for the Celtic Banshees. Plenty. I love the ward coverage. Using Bracer as your other utility or sentry ward. So bull secured. They're on the front foot. Lead almost nullified. Plenty of XP in your favor. Again, XP is not really mean as much when you're hitting these level 20s. Kind of becomes irrelevant. A 30% CDR, 500 pot, not giving cooldown anymore. Instead of giving pen. Finally reaching that full build slot here for Paul on this Lefay. Starter upgrades coming online for 2 members of both teams. Both guards not having them upgraded starters yet. Crow right at my face. Hercules doesn't have blink, but Paul doesn't know that timer, just trying to make sure he's staying at a distance, trying to poke them down with that. Erlong on bird, working with it. That Axie Kins. Bracer dropped for the Celtic Banshees. Bacchus gets a nice triple all. Lefay getting a nice cast across all 3. Doesn't have Vegas and just goes down. The Lefay getting on top of that on her. The damage coming through. A double. Does he get the triple? So Wall's fucking me up. Nice Bacchus flop. And a triple stolen. A surrender vote thrown. And a GG at 2-0 for the Celtic Banshees. Hey. That is what you want to see. So the real question, obviously take a quick peek at this chart, is Mage better than ADC? Or is it just Paul's better than ADC? Because, you know.